Paralympics 2016 opening ceremony, start time, TV channel, livestream info as Rio Games get underway. Just over 2 weeks since the Olympics Games came to a spectacular finale. The Paralympics party will get started in Rio with the opening ceremony at the Maracana Stadium on Wednesday evening. Like the Olympics itself, the build-up to the Paralympics, held every 4 years in the same city and at the same venues as the Olympics, has been full of difficulties and negative headlines. Yet it will go on and will be the biggest to date, featuring more than 4,300 athletes competing in 22 different sports across 11 days. A massive budget shortfall and poor ticket sales has threatened to compromise the very go-ahead of the Games. While that has been averted thanks to a government bailout, major problems remain, leading International Paralympic Committee (IPC) President Philip Craven to paint a stark picture this week. "This is the worst situation that we've ever found ourselves in at Paralympic movement," he told the Associated Press. "We were aware of difficulties, but we weren't aware it was as critical as this." However, a surge in interest as well as a crowdfunding campaign has seen 1.5 million tickets sold, and the IPC states that it now expects all 2.5 million tickets, down from an original capacity of 3 million, to be sold. The event still has some way to go to match the success of the 2012 Paralympics in London, when 2.7 million tickets were sold in what was widely seen as the most successful Games to date. But one area where the Rio Paralympics has already taken a step forward is in television coverage. A record 154 countries will broadcast the Games, up from 115 4 years ago. And it will be the first time that those in the United States will be treated to extensive coverage. NBC will dedicate more than 70 hours to the Paralympics across NBC, NBCSN and the NBC Sports app, up from just 6 in London. It all starts with the opening ceremony at the Maracana, beginning at 5:30 p.m. local time, 4:30 p.m. EDT. NBCSN will provide coverage in primetime from 7 p.m. EDT. Like the Olympics, a torch that will be the centerpiece of the event, with the Paralympic version on its way to Rio after touring around Brazil. There is also a parade of nations, following in the footsteps of Michael Phelps, who was the United States flag bearer in the Olympics opening ceremony. The U.S. team will be led out on Wednesday by Allison Jones. The 32-year-old, who was born without her right femur, is one of a select few athletes to have won gold at both the Summer and Winter Paralympics, having competed in cycling and alpine skiing. "Being able to consider ending my Paralympic career with this honor is just amazing," she said. "Only one person gets chosen out of almost 300 athletes on the team. That enough people believed in me, my story and my legacy. It's just a real honor." Jones is not the only American who will have a prominent role in the opening ceremony. Amy Purdy, who won a bronze in the Sochi Paralympic Games, will perform a dance routine with an as-yet unnamed partner, a double lower leg amputee after contracting bacterial meningitis at the age of 19. Purdy shot to prominence in the U.S. when competing in Dancing with the Stars, and she has been training intensely in Rio ahead of the opening ceremony. It will be a contemporary dance with Brazilian elements, Purdy said. "Having this opportunity to perform for the whole world, with millions of people watching, is an enormous responsibility. That's why I'm training so hard." As for the theme of the Paralympics opening ceremony, Sao Paulo writer Marcelo Rubens Paiva, who is sharing creative directions, says it won't shy away from confronting stereotypes about those with disabilities. "We have politicized our ceremony intentionally, and I've left my impression on it," he said in an interview with the Games official website. "It starts with some humor to show that people with an impairment also laugh, also get themselves into funny situations, to shatter this stereotype of the sad little person, and to show solidarity, that we help ourselves, that people help us out of goodwill. It won't be cheesy, it will make us proud. You will cry tears of emotion at some points. Thank you for watching movie. Subscribe and like to suppose us. Calvin Harris has one regret from his breakup with Taylor Swift. He opened up about the relationship in an interview for British GQ's Man of the Year issue. Less than a day after Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston announced their breakup, British GQ released its Man of the Year interview with Calvin Harris, in which he opened up about the aftermath of his own Swift split. It feels like decades ago at this point, like the Earth has revolved around the sun thousands of times. Like we're in fact in rocking chairs telling this to grandkids right now. But Hiddleston and Swift were photographed on those rocks in Rhode Island, which was interpreted as going public with their relationship roughly 2 weeks after Harris and Swift publicly went their separate ways. That latter event was just about 3 months ago on June 1st. It's very difficult when something I consider so personal plays out very publicly, the DJ told British GQ. The aftermath of the relationship was way more heavily publicized than the relationship itself. When we were together, we were very careful for it not to be a media circus. She respected my feelings in that sense. I'm not good at being a celebrity. But when it ended, all hell broke loose. Now I see that Twitter thing as a result of me succumbing to pressure. It took me a minute to realize that none of that matters. I'm a positive guy. He may not be good at being a celebrity, but he has one thing at least, and that's being a disc jockey songwriter. I was protecting what I see as my one talent in the world being belittled. It felt like things were piling on top of me, and that was when I snapped. This is a real gut punch of an explanation. It sort of makes a person want to hold Harris firmly by the shoulders, look right into his eyes, and turn on a motivational speaker voice. Don't sell yourself short. You have other talents, like shirtless picture taking, being tan. You are a complex soul, Adam. Calvin Harris Wiles. The Twitter thing he's referencing brewed after Swift took credit for writing "This Is What You Came For," a single he made in collaboration with Rihanna. Harris allowed that Swift wrote the lyrics under the pseudonym Nils Schuberg, but took umbrage with her claim through publicists that had contacted TMZ and People that she wrote a piano demo for the song on her iPhone. I figure if you're happy in your new relationship you should focus on that instead of trying to tear your ex-BF down for something to do, Harris said in a now-deleted tweet. He then added one extra jab that references Swift's previous alleged mischief toward other artists like Katy Perry, saying, "I know you're off tour and you need someone new to try and bury like Katy etc., but I'm not that guy. Sorry. I won't allow it." He still sounds shell-shocked from the whole thing. Trailing off as he tells the magazine, "For both of us it was the wrong situation. It clearly wasn't right, so it ended, but all of the stuff that happened afterwards." Quote, "Thank you for watching movie. Subscribe and like to suppose us." Why Star Trek was so important to Martin Luther King Jr. It was the mid-1960s, the height of the civil rights movement. Police had beaten voting rights demonstrators on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. A bomb had exploded in a Birmingham church, killing 4 little black girls. Malcolm X had been assassinated. And every week, Americans watched a black woman on television. She was not a servant, but a lieutenant, fourth in command of a starship. Singer and actress Nichelle Nichols played the role of LT. Nyota Uhura on Star Trek, the original series, which turned 50 on Thursday. After the first season aired in 1966, Nichols had plans to quit the show to join a Broadway-bound production. But Martin Luther King Jr. convinced her otherwise, and in the process, underscored the role pop culture had in the fight for equality. Nichols had just received the Broadway offer and told show creator Gene Roddenberry about her intentions to leave. She explained later in a TV Academy Foundation interview. He said, "Don't you understand what I'm trying to achieve here?" and encouraged her to take a weekend to think it over, Nichols recalled. During that weekend, Nichols attended a Beverly Hills fundraiser where she was told about a Star Trek fan who was desperate to meet her. "I'm looking for a young man who's a Star Trek fan," So I turn and instead of a fin there's this face the world knows with this beautiful smile on it. It was King. How Star Trek embraced diversity 50 years ago, and continues to do so today, Nichols continued. This man says, yes, Ms. Nichols, I am that fan. I am your best, greatest fan. And my family are your greatest fans. As a matter of fact, this is the only show that my wife Coretta and I will allow our little children to watch. To stay up late to watch because it's past their bedtime. King said he admired Nichols's work and the role Roddenberry had created for her, one with dignity. The actress thanked him. She later recalled on NPR's Tell Me More, telling him she wished she could be out there, marching alongside him. H said, no, you don't understand. We don't need you to march. You are marching. You are reflecting what we are fighting for. Then, she broke the news to him that she was quitting the show. His smile faded, Nichols recalled later, as he firmly told the actress that she couldn't leave Star Trek. He said, don't you understand what this man, Roddenberry, has achieved? For the first time on television, we will be seen as we should be seen every day, as intelligent, quality, beautiful people who can sing and dance, yes, but who can go into space, who can be lawyers and teachers, who can be professors, who are in this day, yet you don't see it on television until now. Nichols recalled in a later interview. He went on, Gene Roddenberry has opened a door for the world to see us. If you leave, that door can be closed. Because, you see, your role is not a black role, it's not a female role. He can fill it with anything, including an alien. Nichols was left speechless. I just stood there, realizing every word he was saying was the truth, she recalled. And at that moment, the world tilted for me. A few days after that encounter, Nichols told Roddenberry what King had said. The Star Trek creator looked at Nichols, she recollected, and said, God bless Drive. Martin Luther King. Somebody knows where I'm coming from. Nichols stayed on the show, and said she never regretted that life-altering decision. She went on to help NASA recruit new astronaut candidates, many of whom were women and people of color. Thank you for watching movie. Subscribe and like to suppose us. Hillary Clinton's doctor says pneumonia led to abrupt exit from 9/11 event. Hillary Clinton is being treated for pneumonia and dehydration, her doctor said on Sunday, hours after she abruptly left a ceremony in New York honoring the 15th anniversary of the Sept-11 attacks and had to be helped into a van by Secret Service agents. The incident, which occurred after months of questions about her health from her Republican opponent, Donald J. Trump, and his campaign, is likely to increase pressure on Mrs. Clinton to address the issue and release detailed medical records, which she has so far declined to do. Mrs. Clinton was taken from the morning event at Ground Zero to the Manhattan apartment of her daughter, Chelsea. About 90 minutes after arriving there, Mrs. Clinton emerged from the apartment in New York's Flatiron district. She waved to onlookers and posed for pictures with a little girl on the sidewalk. I'm feeling great, Mrs. Clinton said. It's a beautiful day in New York. Mrs. Clinton left in her motorcade without the group of reporters that is designated to travel with her in public. A campaign spokesman, Nick Merrill, indicated that she had returned to her Chappaqua, NY, residence sometime after 1 p.m., and Mrs. Clinton was not seen publicly the rest of the day. Mr. Merrill initially described Mrs. Clinton, the Democratic presidential nominee, as feeling overheated at the commemoration ceremony. But just after 5 p.m., a campaign official said Mrs. Clinton's physician, Dr. Lisa R. Bardak, had examined the candidate at her home in Chappaqua, and Dr. Bardak said in a statement that Mrs. Clinton was rehydrated and recovering nicely. Secretary Clinton has been experiencing a cough related to allergies, Dr. Bardak's statement said, adding that on Friday morning, after a prolonged cough, Mrs. Clinton was given a diagnosis of pneumonia. Continue reading the main story advertisement. Continue reading the main story. She was put on antibiotics and advised to rest and modify her schedule. Dr. Bardak added, at this morning's event, she became overheated and dehydrated. Dr. Bardak did not indicate what sort of pneumonia Mrs. Clinton had or elaborate on the nature of the examination last week, whether Mrs. Clinton had a fever today, or a host of other issues that could offer more precise insights about her condition. Late Sunday night, Mrs. Clinton's campaign said she was canceling her plans to travel to California on Monday for what had been a planned two-day trip there. A video of Mrs. Clinton taken by an attendee at the ceremony captured what appeared to be her legs buckling as she struggled to steady herself and walk to her van. She required assistance from two Secret Service agents, who held her on either side, to move off a curb and into the van. Close-up images revealed that her feet were dragging as she was hoisted into the vehicle. The episode thrust questions about Mrs. Clinton's health and the transparency of her campaign squarely into the last 2 months of the race, which many polls show has grown tighter. For months Republicans have, with scarce evidence, questioned the stamina of Mrs. Clinton, 68, and claimed she is ill, often pointing to her repeated coughing bouts. She has brushed off such claims. Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Trump, 70, have shared substantially less information about their health than some previous presidential candidates, and Mrs. Clinton revealed that she had pneumonia and had been prescribed medication only after the startling video emerged of her being unable to walk under her own volition after the ceremony. Her campaign initially did not offer any information about why she had left earlier, her whereabouts. Twice during the day, she abandoned the group of reporters assigned to cover her public movements. Campaign officials did not respond to multiple inquiries about whether Mrs. Clinton had been treated by a doctor or had taken any medications. Even some members of Mrs. Clinton's campaign staff had been unaware of her recent diagnosis. Huma Abedin, Mrs. Clinton's longtime aide, sent an email to the full campaign staff on Sunday that included the doctor's note, to share with them the full picture. Onward, as HRC would say, Ms. Abedin wrote in the message, the contents of which were disclosed by a Clinton aide who requested anonymity to share an internal campaign email. Temperatures were in the high 70s on Sunday morning in New York, and humidity was high. Mr. Trump also attended the ceremony, as did many other dignitaries. Other attendees at the event said afterward that Mrs. Clinton had not appeared ill when she first arrived at the former site of the World Trade Center. She seemed fine, said Representative Peter T. King of New York, a Republican, who recalled speaking briefly with Mrs. Clinton around 8:30 a.m. But about an hour later there was a minor commotion, Mr. King said. A number of New York's current and former elected officials had been standing in silence as the names of the victims of the attacks were read. Suddenly, Mrs. Clinton, a former New York senator, left her position. Mrs. Clinton emerged last week from an August mostly focused on private fundraisers with campaign events in Ohio, Illinois, Florida, North Carolina and Missouri. On Wednesday, she participated in an NBC forum on national security, and on Friday she attended a Manhattan fundraiser where she characterized half of Mr. Trump's supporters as a basket of deplorables. The candidates had taken their advertisements off the air to honor the anniversary of the Sept-2016 attacks, and Mr. Trump said nothing when he was asked on Sunday about Mrs. Clinton's condition, but he and his supporters have aggressively sought to raise questions about Mrs. Clinton's health in recent months. Mr. Trump has highlighted her recurring cough and wrote on Twitter last month that both candidates should release detailed medical records. Mr. Trump has issued only a limited summary of his health. Questions about the health of presidential hopefuls are hardly new to this campaign. But long before the exacting scrutiny of the modern media environment, campaigns were often able to suppress information about the ailments of candidates. Rumors about Franklin D. Roosevelt's health, for example, pervaded his final presidential campaign in 1944, but he campaigned vigorously and his aides kept the extent of the heart disease that would kill him the following year out of the news. More recently, Ronald Reagan, Bob Dole and Senator John McCain, each of whom was the Republican presidential nominee while in his 70s, faced questions about their physical condition. The physical demands of running for president, even with private planes and Secret Service protection, are more difficult than the mental demands, said Scott Reed, who managed Mr. Dole's 1996 campaign. Mr. Trump has also been criticized for sharing few details about his health, providing only a brief statement from his personal physician in December. Short on particulars like heart rate, cholesterol level or family history, it described Mr. Trump in laudatory terms, saying that he would be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency. The physician, Dr. Harold Bornstein, later told NBC News that he had written the statement in 5 minutes while a black car waited outside his office to collect it. Mrs. Clinton's campaign has tried to bat away rumors about her health, including releasing a letter from Mrs. Clinton's doctor saying she was in excellent health. But aides have dismissed such questions as a way to distract from the issue of Mr. Trump's not releasing his tax returns. In July 2015, Mrs. Clinton issued a detailed 2-page letter from her physician that included a concussion she sustained in 2012. While she was Secretary of State, it left her with a blood clot in her head and double vision. Dr. Bardak, Mrs. Clinton's physician, said those symptoms had been resolved within 2 months. The candidate's husband, Bill Clinton, however, has said that she required 6 months of very serious work to get over the concussion, a statement that helped feed conspiracy theories among Republicans that the injury was worse than initially disclosed. Though there is no medical evidence to support those theories. Asked whether she was concerned that such questions about her health would affect the election as the polls have tightened, Mrs. Clinton told reporters on her campaign plane last week, "I'm not concerned about the conspiracy theories. There are so many of them, I've lost track of them. Thank you for watching movie. Please subscribe and like to suppose